one I would strongly suggest, which I wish I would have known as a young person or when I came in, if you are able to, house hacking is probably one of the best things that I think either a young person or somebody in a situation that could do to build your wealth. Do some research, look at different options, look on social media, fake it till you make it. Don't be afraid to tell people that you are a real estate investor. You'll be amazed how all of a sudden things will come to you when you least expect it.
All right. Thanks for joining us on another REI-NWA podcast. This is podcast number 25. And I'm your host, Coley Bailey. I'm a broker and team leader at the Lone Rock team at Fathom Realty. And today I've got with me Haia Zellermayer, who is a longtime REI-NWA member. And she's been doing all kinds of different investing. And today we're going to be talking about really the Pandora's box of all the different ways that you can monetize real estate and how to get started as an investor. There's a lot of overwhelm that hits the rookies, and we see that, and sometimes that overwhelm can lead to paralysis by analysis. I don't know, one of those things. But Haia, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you for letting me be here.
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? What have you been doing the last several years, and how'd you get involved in real estate?
Well, originally I'm from Canada. I've been down in the States for about 23 years. We just moved from Tennessee to Northwest Arkansas about 7 years ago. And when we moved, I decided I did not want to go back into doing just a straight 9-to-5 type job. And we had a little bit of money from the house we sold there. So I decided to start my endeavor of real estating. Mm-hmm. So basically did my own, internet searches and came across, places like Bigger Pockets and just did research and things like that. And then one day on Facebook, the REI-NWA REI group popped up. So I joined that and, kept coming to the meetings and met people and got more involved. And then after doing my analysis paralysis, probably for a good year and a half, jumped in with 2 feet into the swimming pool and kind of been going ever since.
All right, cool. So can you tell us just a little bit about your first investment that you jumped into?
I'm trying to remember now. I think the first one I did was during COVID, just at the beginning of COVID. I bought a half of a duplex, and I had to keep the tenant for, I think I bought it in February, or March, but I had to keep the tenant till the end of the year at like a ridiculously low rent. It was enough to cover the mortgage back then, not like today, but also it was in very poor condition. I knew I was going to have to renovate, but I wasn't going to do it while the tenant was there. So I kept the tenant for that length of time. Then when he moved out, I renovated. I also ended up with the other half of the duplex and renovated that. And then also in that time period, I did buy another property that I was working on. This was all during COVID time, which was always a challenge, but it definitely can be done.
Yeah. And I mean, we've seen you do a lot of different strategies and go after a lot of strategies. You've made a ton of offers. You're kind of known as the offer queen at our REI meetings. You're always throwing out offers, and that's what you have to do as an investor. You're trying to acquire things, whether it's going to be a long-term strategy, short-term rental, or if you're, fixing and flipping properties, you've got to be acquiring those assets and putting those offers out there. And so, yeah, you've been amazing at doing that over the last several years.
Yeah, well, one of those properties was one that you were my realtor on. That was the
Yep.
one I had been driving a courier route during COVID and coming by this one house for probably a good year. It had been empty, and I'm like, oh, I need to find out who owns it. Every time I came by, never did that.
Yep.
Then one day I came by and there was a for sale sign. And so
Yeah,
I called my
and
realtor,
we got
Coley.
it locked in at a really good price.
Yes.
So,
Yeah. So I called my realtor and said, hey, I'm going to Fayetteville to drop off what I need to. Can you meet me here in an hour?
yep.
So he did. And honestly, it was a really low price on the house. So I figured it was going to be a cash buyer. I was never going to get it. I had no idea at that point how much it was even going to cost to fix. None.
Right.
So we put the offer in. Miraculously, I got it. And then the panic ensued. Going, oh my God, now I have to figure out, is this going to actually work? Because it was a pretty significant renovation. But going towards strategies, one of my strategies was two things. It was going to be a learning experience because it
Yep.
really needed a significant amount. But the way the lot was structured, I was going to split the lot. And as long as the renovation on the house basically, paid for itself, my profit was going to be in splitting the lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember
So,
that. So you had enough room in the back, and the
mhm,
city was fine with the zoning requirements and everything for you to split it in the back, and then you sold off the lot, right?
I did. I sold the
You
lot to actually another investor in our
and then
REI group.
they put a duplex back there. Is that right?
They did.
Yeah.
They did. And luckily, of course, my renovation went over budget, but luckily it was during COVID. And as everybody knows, the prices went crazy in COVID. So that kind of
Yeah, the
helped
prices.
in that respect. So I did make quite a bit more than I had anticipated, but I
Yeah.
also learned a whole lot.
Yeah, so the wind was in your sails. The wind was kind of to your back, and it was like every month that was going on,
Hmm.
that house was becoming worth more and more for its after repair
Yes.
value. So,
Yes.
yep. Sometimes it is luck, that helps us get through some difficulties, and sometimes it doesn't swing that way too. So,
Right. And back then, the day I listed it, I mean, I got a full cash off, not cash, full price offer like that night. That was
yeah,
great. However, times are a little bit different now than then. I have a house that's been listed now almost a month. So
yeah.
it's, not the same time period. So,
Yeah, it's a little more even
uh,
now. So it's definitely evened
correct.
out here in our market. So you're still getting pretty good pricing as a seller, but as a buyer, you're actually seeing some good opportunities as well. So it's not always multiple offers, 5% over asking price and all the pandemonium that was happening there. So a little more mild at this point. It's kind of back to being a normal market. So we're going to come back and talk about all the different ways that your real estate investing rookie mind will kind of splinter, sort of this Pandora's box that gets opened when you jump into this world of real estate investing. We're going to get back to that right after this word from our sponsor. Are you struggling with real estate code compliance? Let Ordinal, your AI navigator, simplify it for you. Receive clear answers to your nuanced compliance questions in seconds with citations included. Currently, the Ordinal beta version specializes in the Northwest Arkansas cities of Bentonville, Fayetteville, Springdale, and Rogers. Join the beta version now and get your first month free using the promo code REI. After that, it's just $12 a month. Visit breakground.ai/ordinal or click the link in the description below. Start incorporating AI into your real estate workflows today with Ordinal. Okay, so talk to us a little bit about this Pandora's box of real estate. Kind of this idea that once people jump in and they want to start investing, they really don't know where to start because there are so many different avenues they could go down.
There are. But one I would strongly suggest, which I wish I would have known as a young person or when I came in, um, if you are able house hacking is probably one of the best things that I think either a young person or somebody in a situation that could do to build your wealth. And for those who don't know what house hacking it is where you either potentially buy a duplex or even a house where you can rent a room and have somebody basically to help you pay off your mortgage. Like if you were to buy a duplex and you have somebody rent out the other half, the odds are they will pay a good chunk of your mortgage and you can almost live there rent free. And then after you live there for a year or two, you rent out your half and then you can go and do the same thing again. For somebody who's looking to build a portfolio and get rentals, I so wish I knew about that a long time ago.
Yeah, I kind of wish we had done that too when we bought our
Especially if you
first
don't have
house.
kids, and it's hard when you got 3 and 4 kids and
It
dogs.
is.
Your wife
Yeah.
doesn't want, or your husband doesn't want to move, and packing, and then it seems like every time you move and you move to a bigger place, you get more stuff.
Right. The downsize is the hardest
Correct.
move, right? So it's hard to, I think it would be very difficult for us to house hack now unless we built a duplex that was, big, kind of
Yeah.
big enough on both sides for our whole family, on one of the sides at least. But yeah, I had a client that did that. Their first house was a duplex, and they rented out the other side, and they renovated the side that they were living in as they lived there. And
Yeah.
and just this year they bought another house, a single family house, and now their
Yeah.
duplex is cash flowing, and it's a great asset for them and a really good way to get started. Absolutely.
I mean, and you can do that on a single family house. Obviously, if the house is livable, you can fix it as you're living there. And then when you're done fixing, then
Yep.
you can go ahead and sell it or, rent it. And
Kind of
if you
that
keep it,
slow flip idea.
yes, yes. And if you keep it for the allotted time, then you don't get the capital gains. So all the profit you make is just basically,
Right.
for you. And then you move on to the next one.
Yep.
So I highly recommend if you're able to do that, especially if you're in the service or you were in the military service, you can use your VA loan to purchase up to a 4 unit as long as you're living in one of them, and you virtually don't have to put hardly anything down on that. There are other loans that you can use as well that you don't have to put anything down on. And then there's the FHA, the new rule that just started, I believe, this year, where you can buy up to a fourplex and only have to put 3.5% down. So
Yep.
that can help a lot as long as you're living in one of the units. Basically, what I would suggest is do some research, look at different options, come to the REI meetings, go to all the other meetings, look on social media. Don't be afraid to tell people that you are a real estate investor, even if you do not have your first property. What is it? Fake it till you make it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Fake it till you make it. You are a real estate investor. You put that out every day. You'll be amazed how all of a sudden things will come to you when you least expect it.
Yeah, and as your network expands and you kind of build out your team, you learn different specialties, you get interested in
Yep.
different things. Yeah, it'll start to come to you. Absolutely.
I was going to say one important thing is make sure you come to the meetings. Don't just come to the first one and never come back again for a year. You have to come consistently to develop those relationships, and it will pay off.
Absolutely. All right, well, those are some really great points, and I can't wait to see your Rookie Nook coming up. It's going to be at the Whole Hog Cafe in Fayetteville. It's going to be on March 28th. Doors open at 5:30. Of course, it's $20 at the door for non-members. If you are an REI member, of course, it's $0 at the door. And we have 4 programs a month all throughout the year. The other thing, too, if you're watching this from an area outside of Northwest Arkansas and you can't attend our in-person meetings, you still can join REI-NWA and then get access to all of our meetings. In fact, years worth of backlogs of our previous meetings through our back-end private YouTube channel, which you'll get access to once you join. So thanks for watching this episode. Well, thanks for joining us, Haia.
Well, thank you. It was wonderful to be here and look forward to seeing everybody at the end of March.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Thanks. We'll catch you on the next one.